Hello, all you out there. Well, Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, the holidays are upon us once more. And what are you all looking forward to? Santa? Mistletoe? Carolers, sleigh bells, reindeer? Well, yes, all those things are nice, but for me, the holidays boil down to two things: presents and food. Yes, if you've been at all lucky in the grand dice roll of life, you eat well on Christmas. And that doesn't just mean good dinners, it means good leftovers. There is nothing better than slicing up some Christmas leftovers onto a nice sandwich, or however you like to do them. But for me, because it's meats usually, it's sandwiches. And in case you were wondering, that is the cue for another Comic Cook, where panels on the pages get transformed into food in our mouths. And to usher in the holiday season, this is going to be a holiday-themed, or rather leftover-themed meal. This is going to be a handy way to get rid of some of them there luscious table meats that one encounters this time of year. And how are we going to do that? Well, one of the best ways I know of to do it is to make a Monte Cristo sandwich. Now, some of you may have heard of a Monte Cristo sandwich, but for those of you who haven't, it is an American classic. I won't get into exactly what it is here because I'm about to show it to you, but there are a million recipes for it all over the web. This is just another one, but, this one is a little special because it's holiday themed. It's holly jolly. We are doing a Christmas Monty. But it's also this comic cook, so it can't be just Christmas. We also have to drag a comic business in here, and preferably Golden Age. What to do? What would be an appropriate... Aha! The Cavalier! Batman villain, Golden Age, and Monte Cristo, right? Swashbuckling, yes. So we are doing the Cavalier'S Christmas Monty, a luscious lip-smacking sandwich to round out the old year and usher in the new. In just a few weeks when that actually happens, or maybe you're watching this right then and there, who knows? The Cavalier'S Christmas Monty, coming right up to the kitchen! To make the Cavalier'S Christmas Monty, you will need to wait a bit, because before we start doing that, there is a secret ingredient that must be prepared first, and that ingredient is caramelized onions. Now, you might think, oh, well, that'll be no problem, I'll just make them while I'm making the sandwich. No, you cannot do that. You must make them first, and that is because they're very simple to make, but they take a long time to make. So shove your sandwich plans off to the side for the moment. Just, keep them up there. And first, I am going to take you back in time through the magic of video editing and show you how I made caramelized onions for you. First though, to make the onions you will need onions, salt, sugar, butter, olive oil, a pan, a knife, and a stirring spoon. That's it. Very simple. Let's go back in time. So first, of course, you chop up the onions. There is no precise set amount of onions you need to use, just however many you feel like making. I'm just doing 3 here because it's just for the sandwich, although there will be leftovers, because no one in their right mind would make caramelized onions and not plan on there being leftovers. So just chop it up, relatively roughly, but thinly and evenly. There we go. Now, on to the fun bit. In the pan, melt some butter and add some olive oil. Again, no set amount, just enough to coat the onions with. Add the onions and mix. them in until they're all nicely coated with the mixture. After a few minutes, let's say about 5 to 7 or something, add a little bit of salt and mix it in. After the same amount of time, do the same with a little bit of sugar. Now turn the heat down nice and low and leave it alone. From now on, all you really need to do is check it about every 15 minutes or so. Just about like that. And once it's starting to get a bit darker, a bit near the end of the process, then you need to check it a bit more regularly. Just scrape down the sides, mix it in, check it every now and then. Your idea is to get it as cooked down and as dark and as even as possible without burning it. Just, use your intuition. But eventually, after a little while, you will get this. Yeah, these are caramelized onions, and oh, are they lovely. So now, having done that, we will set those off to the side for the moment, and let's get on to the sandwich! To make your Christmas Monty, you will need, for caramelized onions aside, the following items and ingredients. A pan and spatula. These are actually part of a non-stick set. Just anything that you would use to make eggs with will do fine. 2 spreading knives, or 1 if you want to wash it in between, but for the purposes of expediency, I'm using 2. A fork, a spoon, a knife suitable for cutting meat. This is actually, I believe, a Japanese carving knife of some sort. Obviously, you don't have to use this one specifically. This is just what I like to use for carving meat. Works very well. A chopping board to chop the meat on, of course. A cheese slicer. A plate with a slight lip to it, deep enough to put some liquid, or in this case, an egg in, and not have it spill out. You can use a bowl if you want, but I've always used a plate. 2 types of cheese, cheddar and Stilton, the latter of which we will now put back in the fridge for the moment, and we only want to take this out right when we need it. Leave it in the fridge to the last possible moment. Mayonnaise, ham, smoked duck breast, or I believe it's also called duck prosciutto. That would do as well. Or if you've just got leftover duck, go ahead with that. An egg, a little bit of butter, and some jam. Now then, let's get to it. Spread your bread with mayonnaise to your taste, but this is one of those sandwiches that kind of needs something to glue it together, so don't skimp. First layer is the cheese, starting with cheddar. Next, some slices of duck breast. And in case you're wondering about the duck breast, because it's a little that's a little odd. Duck is one of the things that my family often indulges in as an ingredient for Christmas dinner. I've always wanted to try it in a sandwich, but there's never anything left over. So that was one of the inspirations for the Christmas Monty. And the smoked duck breast was the closest I could find. It's a little tricky to find, but you can probably, ask your local butcher, and they might be able to come up with some, or some stores sell it. I just got this in like a market. There we go, cut, relatively thin, and I like to salt it just slightly. You don't really need it, but it tends to what I do with avian flesh, chicken, whatever, and duck. Next we add a layer of ham. Having reached the middle of the sandwich, our secret ingredient comes into play. So that's when we need the fork. But the first time you'll see. So we add a nice layer of the caramelized onions. Don't stint yourself, but don't go crazy either. You certainly don't need to use all these, assuming this is what you got. But you want a nice lot of onions. Now then, we repeat the process with a second layer of everything, and this time the cheese is Stilton. Now, the reason I said you want to leave this stuff in the fridge until the last moment is because this is a very Stilton, and if you've never worked with it, is a very creamy sort of a cheese, and you don't want to let it soften. You want to it slices pretty well if you take it out of the fridge and slice it immediately, but if you leave it around, it's kind of a mess. See, it's already a little crumbly. In case you're wondering, why Stilton, I did a little research and is going with the holiday theme of all this. It turns out that Stilton and cheddar are two traditional cheeses found on an English cheese board, which, is like a tray of cheeses that they bring out round about holiday time and leave for people to snack on. Now, I had plenty of cheddar, and Stilton is a touch pricey, but it's actually not that difficult to find. And it's probably much easier to find if you actually live in England. So, I got some, and it's worked out pretty well. There we go, duck, then ham, and now we are assembled. Now then, the last step before getting on to the next step is just make sure your sandwich is all pressed together. It'll hold up to being in the pan, which, if you have like a sandwich press, I suppose you could do that, but hands work pretty well. Just press it down all together, right? Next step. Now this next bit is what makes a Monte Cristo instead of just like a sandwich. Now people dip their Monte Cristos in all kinds of things. I've seen a whole bunch of people put it in like pancake batter, they deep fry it, they add all kinds of ingredients. That I've never found that necessary. All I've ever used is an egg. So let us first crack the egg and clean up the little bit that's spilled and scramble it with the fork. I have been told that my scrambling technique is akin to that of a caveman, and I really should use a whisk instead of a fork, but whatever, it works for me. And I've salted this lightly off camera, just however you like to salt your scrambled eggs or an omelet or whatever. That would about do it for this. Having turned on our pan, we take our second knife and the butter and slice a little bit of butter into the pan. Actually, a little more. Yeah. Now then, just let that melt and get all around there. And while that's melting, we take our sandwich and we put it in the plate and we dip it in the egg. See? And just get that in there and flip it over and make sure that both sides have a chance to absorb all the egg mixture. By now, the butter is starting to bubble just a little bit. So we take this and we put it in the pan. And we go and we put this in the sink and come back. Right, having cleaned off the egg pan, we return to our Monte Cristo and turn it down a little from like the high to relatively medium, and then let it sizzle away for another few minutes. Let's say like another 3 or so minutes. And we'll come back and flip it over. Right, now let's flip it. Yeah! And that's about right. It may look a little dark, but actually I like it like this. It depends, you know, everyone has their own preferences for this sort of sandwich, but personally I like it so that it's nice and crisp on the top and you tap it and you can hear a noise, you know, instead of like sinking in the thing. Okay, so another 3 or 4 minutes on that side, and our Monte Cristo sandwich, our Christmas Monty, our Cavalier'S Christmas Monty will be done! And there we have it. Lovely Christmas Monty. A lot of like restaurants and whatever will top this with powdered sugar, and you know, that would look nice and seasonal, but as far as I'm concerned it's overkill and I don't want to make a mess. So there is one, you know, we're not doing powdered sugar, but there is one last traditional accompaniment which we will do. Shove this off the side a little. And here is where our jam comes in. I think it's often strawberry jam, but whatever kind of jam you like. This is boysenberry. Just take a scoop and put it on the plate and mess it around a little bit so it's suitable for dipping in and doesn't just clump up. Yes. See, this is what you dip the sandwich in. Now then, cut up the sandwich however you like, and I'll see you at the table. And here we are, our Cavalier's Christmas Monty, ready for the eating. And I am starving, so let's give this puppy a taste. Mmm. Mmm. Delicious. That was worth the wait. Now, let's try it with the jam. Yeah. The sweetness of the jam really does complement the rest of the flavors nicely. It's a very nice mix. The duck is nice and ducky tender. I mean, I can't, if you've tasted duck, you know what I mean. It's like, it's got a quality not quite like any other bird. You've got a little bit of hint of that sort of blue cheese funkiness from the Stilton. And the ham. And then, of course, it's all done up in the egg. It makes it all crunchy and greasy and buttery. It's delicious. It's really good. This one turned out very nicely. Now, some of you might be a bit discouraged at the fact that a few of the ingredients I use are a little tricky to come by, like the Stilton and the duck. And fair enough, but don't let that dissuade you from trying a Monte Cristo sandwich in general, because this is just a fancy version. Just a plain old Monte Cristo. All you really need is cheese, whatever your preferred kind of cheese is, and some ham, and either chicken or turkey. I always use chicken, or sometimes I just do ham and cheese, and later I'm like, all you really need is that, and some mayonnaise, and dip it in the egg, and like I did, and it's so good, and it's so simple. Oh, I just hit a nice burst of onion, and that is also very good. And that even if you don't, if you decide Monte Cristos aren't for you, I urge you to try the onion, because it's so good.
It's like savory onion candy. It's delicious. And it goes well with so many things. You can put it in sandwiches. You can use it as a pizza topping. That's great. You can toss it into pasta and put it on top of burgers. I've tried it in salads. It's good with just about anything savory. It's amazing. You can get so much mileage out of that. And it tastes like no other. It's really, it takes a long time. I don't remember if I said that, but this batch that I used took me about 2 hours. But it is so worth it. So that's the Cavalier's Christmas Monte. So I'll go ahead and finish it by myself. But I hope you liked this video, and it maybe gave you some ideas for what to do with your own Christmas leftovers. Or other stuff down the line. Like, you know, hey, I got some ham, I got some cheese, I got some fowl of my preferred type. You should try it. I doubt you'll regret it. And in any case, till next time, bon appetit.